Good afternoon, family. How are you guys doing today? Of course, we're here, and the major question for today that we are tackling is can highly successful, highly motivated individuals also struggle with depression? So, we want to answer that question today. The obvious understanding of the context of the question is that, even the most highly successful, highly driven, highly motivated, passionate people still go through things, right? And so it almost feels a little bit like a contradiction in that, man, a person who's doing really, really well in life, do we actually believe that they actually have struggles, right? So that's the question that we want to tackle for today. And so if you have a few minutes just to listen, participate, share, comment, like, subscribe, man, please do so, right? First of all, let's do the housekeeping as always, right? So welcome. Thank you for being here. You are here at Life Solutions Wellness. We are a mental health channel where we talk about all things related to mental health, emotional wellness, self improvement. So this is the place where we really try to tackle some difficult issues that may or may not be hot topics for conversation, but they're important to us, and so I know they're important to you. So I just decided that, hey, let's just talk about it. Life Solutions Wellness is for highly productive, highly successful, highly functional individuals, adults who are doing well in life, right? But at the same time, we also know that everybody and everyone has their own challenges and struggles that they're going through that may be public or they may be private. And so here at Life Solutions Wellness, we're gonna get it out. Right here at Life Solutions Wellness, we're gonna talk about all of those things, those challenges, and hopefully give you some information and some insight from a personal and a professional perspective that maybe can help you out if you happen to get in a difficult situation for yourself or you know somebody else who's going through a hard time. My name is Harold Rayfield Jr. I am a licensed professional counselor and therapist. I have been in the people helping business for over 20 years now, been a licensed professional therapist in 3 states in over the last 13 years. And so I've worked with tons of people, whether it's little people, whether it's teenagers, it's individuals, it's couples, help them work through their mental health, their emotional struggles. And so it's important to me, it's valuable. So the question for today, we're going to go ahead and jump in, is can highly successful people also deal and struggle with mental health in terms of depression, right? Obviously, we're talking about it because October is Depression Screening and Mental Health Month. So that's the awareness that we are bringing to it. And so the answer is yes, you can, right? Highly motivated, self starters, go getters, high flyers, powerhouses, trailblazers, those people who do really great things on an individual level or on a professional level can also have mental health challenges, struggles. And one of the most common is depression. And so we want to talk about it today. So, what are the causes? So, number one, there are a lot of different causes for this challenge for people who are highly functioning, but I think a lot of it stems from um, individuals, people who are highly successful on their own level, also struggle with it because they're oftentimes on their own, right? So, what do I mean, Harold? People who are highly successful, maybe that's you, somebody you know in your family, people who are really highly successful, they are really focused, right? And so they can become victims of their own success, right? So they have high standards, they have high goals that they want to achieve for themselves. And so they're highly focused, highly motivated, but the energy that it takes to achieve those goals, the effort it takes to just the energy to expend, it can be really difficult. It can be really challenging and tiring. And so a lot of times, the process, the journey of achieving things, success, and accomplishing goals and objectives in life, it takes a toll on a person. So a lot of times, highly functioning, highly achieving people, higher achievers, they will experience these highs, right? These highs in life of doing all of the wonderful things that they have on their list to accomplish. And then immediately following the highs, there are these lows, right? Where you feel alone because you've been doing it by yourself. It's been an individual goal, and a lot of times it's an individual journey. So that can cause and lead to depression. Also, highly functioning, highly motivated people, they can also struggle with depression because sometimes they feel alone, right? They are by themselves. They have this individual goal that they're trying to accomplish that they want to do, and sometimes that they don't feel like they're supported in the way that other people are. So, being a high functioning, high achieving, highly successful person can also come with the ups and downs, the waves, the ebbs and flows of the emotional self that may sometimes be difficult to manage, right? Also, another thing is that oftentimes we don't even see their struggles, right? Highly functioning people seem happy. They seem upbeat, uplifted, enthusiastic because they are, right? That's at their core, that's who they are. But in reality, even those people have moments where they need to recharge. They need to reset. They need somebody to encourage and uplift them. And sometimes they don't get that, right? Because sometimes the people that they're surrounded with or surrounded by or around are not used to or accustomed to helping that person. They see that person in a very high esteem, a high regard, and say, oh man, that guy's got it, that girl's got it, she's amazing, she's awesome, she's always been the best at everything. But little do they know that even those people have their moments, their times where they're down, or they're sad, or they're disappointed, or they're frustrated. And so a lot of times our high achievers, right, often don't get the support or the recognition or the care that they so desire. So some of those things can lead to it. So those are the causes. What does it look like, right? So number two, right, there are symptoms and signs of depression even in our high achievers, right? Even whether it be your neighbor, your friend, a family member, your spouse, your children, you need to be aware of the signs of what it may look like when a high achiever, high functioning individual is struggling, going through something. And so a lot of times, it's the normal, typical symptoms of depression, right? A lot of times it's the isolation, right? And so we have become accustomed to this person being outgoing and engaging and engaged and connected with people. And then there are these moments or these spaces, or they go through these seasons or these windows of time where they just pull back. They pull back from people, they pull back from their hobbies, their interests. That could be a sign or a symptom that they might be going through an episode of depression. Another common thing is another sign or symptom might be that person seems tired all the time, right? So there's a fatigue that comes with achievement. There's a fatigue, there's a burnout that comes with climbing the ladder of success, right? And so a lot of times our dream chasers, those people who are really, really motivated, they're focused on doing the right thing, right, man? Sometimes they're tired. You can see it. They look tired. They feel tired. They're struggling to get sleep. So those might be signs or symptoms that person might be going through a depressive episode or a down moment. And so we got to be aware of those things because those are opportunities for us, right? The family around them to jump in and help those people. So whether it's fatigue or burnout, also maybe it's isolation, those are things that could be signs or symptoms that individual is struggling, going through an emotional or mental state or a season, a temporary time period where they might be depressed or having some depressive symptoms. And so we got to be aware of those things. Other signs of depression in highly functioning, high achieving people, their energy levels, right? So it's not just the isolation. It's not just them being tired, but even the energy, like the focus and concentration might not be there, right? So if a person who we are accustomed to, they're being highly focused, highly driven, they seem to be always on point, right? They're always on point with whether it's a task or a project or a thing or it's work or it's family. And if you start to see a person start to waver in those things and they are looking or appearing like they're not as focused or engaged or connected, right? They feel a little disconnected, whether it be in a conversation or just on their day-to-day, that might be another sign or symptom that that person is going through a depressive episode. Not all the time, not every single time that a person might have sleep problems or appetite problems, or they might isolate themselves. Not all the time are they depressed. I'm not saying that at all. However, what I am saying is that it might be a flag or something to be aware of that maybe in yourself or maybe in other people where they might not be aware of it, but they might be struggling and having a hard time. And it's good to just check in with yourself if you have noticed yourself not feeling like yourself, or if it's another person or a loved one or somebody or a friend who you know them to be very focused and motivated, engaging, and for whatever reason they're going through a time frame where they're just not themselves. Well, those could also be signs of depression, right? So we talked about some of the causes, talked about some of the signs or symptoms of depression. What are the implications? So what's the impact of a depressive episode? Now we know the numbers where more than 20 million Americans, adults, are going to go through some type of major depressive episode, right, on a yearly basis, right? So what are the implications? Well, when a person is going through a depressive episode, it has an impact specifically on the roles, specifically. Did I say that right? I don't know. Tell me in the comments specifically, right? They might experience challenges in the roles that they typically start in, right? So one of the first roles is their professional, right? So if you are an individual and you are highly functioning, right, highly motivated, right, you're a go-getter, self-starter, and all of a sudden you start to feel these struggles, whether it's concentration or it's lack of motivation, lack of energy, right? You feel isolated, disconnected, and it's starting to affect work where you're not performing at your highest level, whether it be your performance on a particular project, or it is how you're just functioning on a daily basis at work. That could be a sign that there might be some struggles on a deeper on a deeper mental level. I'm gonna work through it. So the first role typically is that of work, which may be impacted. Now, for others, it might be school. So school performance might be directly impacted by a depressive episode or symptom. So a person, you or somebody else, who's typically good at getting assignments done, right? They're good at being engaged in the classroom, or they're focused and they're interactive during these academic stages or these learning environments. And unfortunately, they're having a difficult time being engaged, focused, having the same excitement, right, or love in an academic setting. Then perhaps, particularly those might be moments where they're feeling a little bit, a little bit down, a little bit sad. And so, in terms of implications, it could be work, it could be school, it also could be relationships. So if you or your partner seem to be a little off, a little disconnected, a little less interested, a little less enthusiastic, these are signs and symptoms that maybe there's a challenge going on from a mental health standpoint that we need to address, we need to acknowledge. And so if it's you, man, now in the past, I've been good, right? Date nights, fun, exciting, or going out to the movies or going out dancing. Those things typically would always excite me, energize me, and for whatever reason, I'm not as excited anymore. I'm not as interested in doing those things. And not just one time, but now it's been a couple of days, a couple of weeks where the normal activities, the normal hobbies, the normal things that bring me fun, bring me happiness, bring me joy, I'm not really interested in at the current moment. All those activities could be affected if someone is going through depression or symptoms of depression over a period of time, right? So it's not just the roles at school or work or relationships. There are other roles. There are family roles that also could be impacted, right? So if you are a brother, or sister, mom, dad, whatever, you're a parent, right? And where you find yourself or you see yourself not as interested, not as connected, not as engaged with the people and the relationships that you should be, could be a sign that you are going through things. And so these are some things to be aware of, right? That there are specific causes to depression, even in the highest functioning individuals. There are some signs and symptoms that we need to be aware of for our own sake, also for others' sake. Also, there are implications, right? Whether it's the roles we play, school, work, relationships, parenting, family relationships, all those things can be impacted by a person who is experiencing depression or going through a season or a window of time of depressive symptoms. So, how do we treat it? Very good question. Right? We've answered the first question, which is, can people who are highly productive, highly functioning also struggle with depression? Yes. So then how do we treat it? There are a lot of different ways, and so I'm not going to talk about like whether it's CBT, how they do it, or whether it's humanistic. I don't want to talk necessarily about the philosophical stuff. I want to keep it practical. I want to be honest, and I want to be very, very grounded in our approach to how we help ourselves or help other people deal with depression, right? And so the first one I like to start with is always awareness. The best way to treat it is to be aware of it. Why? For number one, for your own sake. You need to be aware of how you feel. Some people struggle with feelings. They struggle with emotions. They struggle with understanding like how they are on a day-to-day basis. And so it helps if you could raise your understanding, your awareness. That's why we're here at Life Solutions Wellness. That's why I'm doing this channel, right? Is I want to raise the awareness level to help you, or for you to help somebody you love or you care about, so you can know and be aware and recognize the signs or symptoms when something's not right. And so awareness is the first part, right? I need to know how I'm feeling. I need to know what bothers me. I need to know when I'm not at my best. I'm not the best version of myself. So awareness is the first step to treating it. We want to raise the level of awareness for depression, depressive symptoms, so people can understand what they're going through, what it feels like when they're not good, right? So awareness is the first step. That's how we treat it. Another step for treating it is highly functioning people, they don't like to ask for help. Newsflash, right? So these people are used to doing it by themselves. Maybe I'm talking to you. You are used to getting it done. You're a go-getter. You're a doer, right? You like to get things done, take action. And so it's not like you to not be able to get things done and be productive and efficient at it. And so the first step, or the second step, depending upon how you look at it, right, is you gotta be okay with asking for help. It's okay not to be okay, right? And so how we want to address when you're feeling sad or down, or these waves of sadness or depression, or just lack of interest in things is, right, is that you need to be okay with opening up. Talk to people. Tell people what you're feeling. Tell people what you're going through. People around you may not be aware that you're going through something, because it looks like from the outside you're still going to work. You're still getting things done at home, right? You're still helping the family, right? You're still being a good person, a good friend. And so from the outside looking in, people can think like, oh man, he's okay, he's doing fine, he's still getting stuff done. Nothing's been disrupted in his life or her life. She's okay, she's doing fine. Maybe she's just having a moment, right? But it's up to you partially, right? Not just us to be aware of what you're going through. It's also up to you to speak up for yourself. So I'm giving you permission. You have my permission. You have our permission. The people who love you, care about you, speak up for yourself. If you're having a moment or you're going through something that's bigger than you, or it is really affecting you in a negative way, tell somebody. Open up. Talk about how you feel, no matter how uncomfortable it is, or you're not accustomed to it, right? You don't have the habits of talking about feelings or emotions because you're an action-oriented person. You're not necessarily a process. You're not overly analytical. You just want to do, go, go, go. Let me help you. That is not always the best solution. It's pressing on, pushing forward, pushing through. Sometimes it's good to stop, open up, talk to the people who care about you, right? So awareness is the first step for helping deal with depression and depressive symptoms. Also asking for help. The third step, not the only, but the third step for today's video, and you have to learn how to be okay with saying no. Now, I know this is the hard part of the video because if I'm talking to you, you're a doer, you're a helper, you care about people, you're a humanitarian, you're a good Samaritan, and you love to get things done. Not only your stuff, but other people's stuff. That can be one of the major issues that we have, right? Is that as action oriented people, we just love to do. Somebody brings us a problem, we want to fix it, we want to solve it. Sometimes you have to know when to say, no, thank you, right? Or no, I can't. And have to learn how to be okay with it, right? We have to be okay with disappointing people because people have come to us and we've always got it done. We've always figured it out. We're the figure out people, right? But sometimes for your own sake, for your mental health, for your emotional well-being, for your social and mental and emotional battery, you need to take time out for yourself. You need to recharge, right? You need to be still, old people, right? Smart, wise people from generations past, right, will say, hey, it's okay to be still. And so we got to learn how to speak up for ourselves, ask for help. We have to learn how to be aware of what we're feeling, when we're feeling it, so that we know how to address it. And then thirdly, a good place to start is, hey, let's say no. I already have a lot on my plate right now, and maybe now is not the best time for me to take on a new adventure, a new project, a new challenge. Even if I love helping people or I love getting new things done, sometimes pressing on, pushing through is not the best solution or answer for our mental and emotional selves. So we talked about the causes, we talked about the signs and symptoms, we talked about the effects, the implications of depressive symptoms for highly functioning, highly successful, high achieving people, right? We even talked about treatment. Like, where do we start with? How do we help ourselves or help other people who may be struggling in this area? So hopefully today we have answered the question. Yes, 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 yes. You can be a highly functioning, highly productive person and still experience depression. As a matter of fact, by the statistics, by the numbers, many people, a lot of adults are going to experience or go through the highs and lows of life. And that's okay. It's okay not to be okay. And so we just got to learn how to deal with it and do better, right? So I think this is a good place for us to stop if you guys are okay with it. We'll stop here, but thank you for taking time to listen. Don't forget to like the channel, subscribe to the channel, do the notifications thing. You can even leave a comment, something you would like me to talk about, or something I didn't cover today that I should have covered and you want me to add to it. I will make sure I read it and address those things in the next upcoming videos. I want to do a good job of being consistent with you guys, right? So I'm jumping out. I'm taking the first step for myself, right? I am just going to get started. I'm not going to overthink it. We're going to get started in having this ongoing conversation with you guys through our Life Solutions Wellness channel here, where we just talk about mental health. We talk about being better, doing better for ourselves, staying emotionally, mentally healthy. And so this is what we're going to do. So we'll stop here for today. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff, comment, and I will see you on the next video. I'll see you, and we will continue the conversation about mental health and emotional wellness. All right, thank you guys. You guys have a wonderful day. Remember, I love you, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it.